Hello, and welcome to another episode of Perfect Pairings. My name is Gayan, and I am a technical editor for Knitwear Designs, based in Melbourne, Australia, and I'm also the host of this channel. And before we get started into some really fun content today, I want to take a moment to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which this episode was recorded, and that is the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation and the Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation, the traditional owners of the southwest of Western Australia. I would like to acknowledge the often fraught relationship between Australian farming and Indigenous land rights, and I'd like to acknowledge the contribution of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders people to the fiber arts community over the millennia. So, I am back from a trip to Perth where I was seeing some family, but I also made time to catch up with some new and old friends who will feature in this episode. So without any further ado, here we go. Have fun. Hello, and welcome to Calico and Ivy. We are here with Kelly. Good morning.
Good morning.
And
hello everyone.
if you don't know Daniella from A Knitter's Suitcase, you should. Please go check out her podcast. But I am here in Perth, very exciting, and we could not. I couldn't visit Perth without A, seeing Dani, and B, coming here, which is probably the Perth mecca of yarn.
Yeah. Wow.
What do you think?
I think so, yes.
Definitely.
Yes.
Literally walked in and I got actually quite emotional because it's just beautiful here with walls and walls of fabric and yarn, literally anything you would need to inspire or spark creativity, I think, is here.
Yeah, yes, it's a lovely environment, and it's just a wash of colour and texture, and I hope that everybody feels that when they come through the doors, and it can be for creative types a little dangerous because there's so much inspiration. That's
so
how
much.
I have always found it. Is but if you spend a little time, which isn't hard to do, you can narrow it down and
Well, my
Find what you
experience
need,
is that little time doesn't exist here because the moment you get in, there are so many colors, so many patterns. If you look at the fabrics and all the yarns, there's such a variety. Well, Kelly will tell us better later. Such a variety of, brands and fiber content and color ranges. Please, when you come, take your time.
And I can say there are things here that I have never been able to actually touch in Victoria. So I'm actually really excited to record this episode and then spend some time in the Rex back there. But Kelly, can you tell us, how did you become to be the proprietor of Calico and Ivy?
Yeah, it kind of just evolved. It felt like all the stars just aligned, which is kind of, a little bit out there to say, but I had been a long time customer, and I came to a lot of classes at Calico and Ivy to develop my knitting skills particularly, and I got to know the girls in the shop, and Josie, that was the owner of the shop, really well. And through some other circumstances, I spent a long time over the last couple of years deciding that I had finished with my previous career in healthcare, and actually the day after I drew that line in the sand and gave in my resignation, I came to a knitting class, and Josie came and asked me if I would have a couple of hours to help her in the shop.
Ooh.
Yeah, which
That's the best invitation,
Yeah.
really.
Absolutely. Which of course I did. And as we were talking, we were talking about where we were in life and all the rest of it, because we were in the shop alone, it was closed. And Josie was saying that she was sort of at a stage where she was going to have to start thinking about selling the shop, leaving it. But she loved it so much, but she had all these other things, grandchildren, husband's retirement, lots of other things going on. And I just said to her, if ever it is the right time for you, please tell me first.
All right.
And and it just went from there over a period of months. And it worked. It just lined up perfectly for both of us, and it was like I had to close one door before that door opened. That's how I feel about it anyway.
And often I think that's the way, right?
Yeah,
like with things that happen in life, it's might be sad to leave one thing behind, but then you have all this space for the new things.
And a very exciting one as well, because goodness me, it's been your passion for many years, and then it's turned into, great endeavor. It's fantastic. I think many knitters would love that opportunity, so it's great.
And how long has the shop been open? So I used to live in Perth, but I wasn't a knitter when I was in Perth, unfortunately, so I didn't actually know. How long has it been going?
So Jo Brazier was the first person. She opened the store in the early 1980s.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, in Napoleon Street, and it was originally called Calico House. She had mostly fabrics, but did classes in doll making and stitching, quilting, all of those things. And then I'm not sure what year, but she opened a yarn store just close by to the fabric store, and she called that Ivy and Maud after her grandmothers.
Oh,
yeah,
I love that.
Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
And then because of needing to move the shop, she decided to consolidate the two, and it became Calico and Ivy.
Sorry, Maud.
Yeah. I don't know that part of the story. And I was lucky enough, Jo came into the store, within probably a month to 2 months after I took over, and told me that story, and I was like, oh, okay. It's
Such
lovely
a precious
to hear the
memory
evolution,
To have that history.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
So you said you were taking a knitting class. Do you do other crafts other than knitting as well? Do you crochet or do you sew?
Yes, I do crochet. I started to crochet first, and it was sort of just a creative thing, as a mindful exercise, and then I thought, okay, well, I might give knitting a try, because there's one stitch with crochet, so I felt like a bit safer with that. And then and once I started to knit, I just haven't stopped.
We know the feeling.
You don't look back.
Yeah, and it's so good for you, and that's one of the things that I really love about the change in career that I've had, is that I've always worked in healthcare, which has been helping people in a healthy way, or to be more healthy. And I feel like what I'm doing now is just as valuable, because I know what it does for me when I knit. And that is, it's more than the end product to me. It's the feeling I get, and the health benefits I get, and
the great community that we managed to join and to be connected with while we practice our favorite craft. Well, craft is a word that doesn't tell everything, but
100%. And then just the fact that you take some time out to do something creative that you love, and putting that time into yourself, especially for people like healthcare workers who just give and give and give all the time at work and probably at home, to take some of that time back and invest it into them. Exactly.
Self-care,
Yes.
Absolutely.
Because some of us have very busy lives and very busy minds, and I have found that sometimes, although I know the benefits of meditation and things like that, it's very hard to slow down that much. But that's what knitting gave me originally, was the opportunity to sit still and do something repetitive and in a flow, and it stopped my mind going in the 5 or 6 directions, and it made me feel so much more grounded and calm.
Absolutely. We can all relate to that.
And I'm a much nicer person to live with when I knit.
Well, my husband, if he sees I'm a bit, frustrated or anxious, will tell me, have you knitted anything today? Go and knit something.
That's lovely that he recognises.
Yeah, he does. He does.
So how long have you been knitting and crafting?
So I learnt to sew as a young child. My nan was a seamstress, and my mum learnt from her, and they were both beautiful sewers. And so I did that on and off through my teenage years, 20s, 30s, and then when I was in my late 30s, maybe 40, that's when I started to pick up yarn. And that was because, like, at the time we had 3 kids of our own, very busy. To do those sewing type activities, it was a big exercise. I didn't have a sewing room, so I had to bring it out into the space of everyone else and then put it all out, pack it all up. Otherwise, it's on the dining room table everywhere. Whereas yarn, it's just so portable and so easy to just contain and pick up and put down when you need to. So
totally.
in that time, so probably around 40. So that's, I won't tell you my exact age, but just over a decade. Probably of knitting. Yeah.
And what are your favorite things about running the yarn shop?
My most favorite thing is the community and the connections that happen in the shop. Yeah, I feel like I come to a place every day where I'm with my like-minded people, like my tribe.
Absolutely.
And that we all look after each other, and we all share a love of an activity, but we're all doing different things, and there's nothing like seeing the same thing you've made and someone else has made it and it looks completely different, and it opens your mind to
very inspiring, isn't it? I find it marvelous that you see the personality of each of us coming out through the individual versions of the same garment that we may have done. Look at Gay, Anne and me twinning in our Cecil shawls.
And now I have to make one.
Let's meet again and do another podcast when you wear a Cecil shawl too.
Cecil mania.
Yeah, they're gorgeous. So that's my most favorite thing, and then I guess after that is the just being surrounded by the yarn and the colour and the fabric, and so many ideas and so much creativity. And like I said before, it's an environment where it's good for you, and when people come, they're all coming because they want to do a similar thing, and they're doing something creative and something that's good for them, but also good for their life and the people around them. And
it's just a constant source of inspiration, isn't it? Getting to work and be in this environment.
Absolutely.
But on the flip side, are there challenges, or what do you see as the most challenging aspect
of having the store? Probably the learning curve for me, and I know that I have to be patient with myself because I haven't run a retail business before, and it's very different in a lot of ways, but it has some similarities. So when I was nursing and a midwife, it's a time pressure environment, so you have to be very good at managing time and tasks and all of those things. So that's very helpful, but they're different tasks. So learning to streamline processes that are completely different to anything I've done before, like ordering and managing
everything, really.
Those kind of things, is very different to anything that I've done before.
Well, it's a huge switch from healthcare to retail, and like you said, being patient with yourself. But without what do they say? I think I told you the other day, without the cocoon, there would never be a butterfly. So you've got to have
something
that
like that.
change.
There's a stage for things to get developed and mature somehow into, Oh,
and I think it's about cocoons aren't that beautiful, but
what comes from them. That's lovely.
What is your thought process for selecting yarns for the shop? Because I walked in and I was just like touching everything, like, oh my gosh, look at this. look at this. And then look at this.
It's not like a straight linear process like that I go out and I have a research in mind most of the time. You know, if there's a particular fibre that I think we don't have, then it's a lot more like, okay, let's go and see what's out there. Let's try a few. But a lot of the time, I guess because I've been knitting for a decade and I'm surrounded by people who knit, I've been exposed to a lot of different yarns, and I get a lot of feedback from people about what they like to knit with and what the pros and cons of different yarns are. And then, of course, there's just a wealth on Instagram of beautiful things being made from all around the world, which is just amazing to have instant access to what's going on internationally. And so often, it's a bit of a combination of those things. And if I can see it and feel it, then I might go ahead and just take the plunge and order it. If it's not, then maybe I'll just order a little bit and give it a try, or give it to one of the girls that works in the shop, or someone I know that knits, and just get some feedback about what it is. But often it's just a combination of those things, looking at what's new, what's out there, what people are loving, that kind of thing. And then some of it is just taking a punt, really. And and I've got to be mindful too that not necessarily because I like it, anyone else will like it. So
I think that for me would be a challenge, sort of trying to keep in mind that, you know, there are different people who like different things, and feeling like I'm not leaving anyone out. Of it must be another reason to feel pressured sometimes, but also very interesting and to explore.
It is. But I'm very lucky that when I took over the business, all of the staff stayed on, and a lot of them had been working in the store for a number of years, and some with, you know, the owner before Josie even, and so they had a lot of experience and a lot of connections with customers and things, and they're all creative people themselves. And so oftentimes if I'm looking at something, I'll run it past one or two or three of them and say, okay, so this is what I'm thinking, what do you think? And then if we all say yes, I think that's great, then I might say, which colours are you drawn to? Because my colours are not everyone's colours.
That's right. That's right.
Absolutely.
Are there any particular considerations given that it's Perth? And like maybe you don't want to knit a Lopi jumper for a Lopi Pesa jumper for Perth.
There are definitely, and it's difficult because sometimes people still want those kind of yarns, those Aran weight yarns, or like the Lopi yarns, or the really chunky yarns, and because they've seen something that they love the look of, but it's not really going to be something that they get much use out of in Perth because we don't have a really cold winter, and often those really, like the Lopi yarn in particular, or even some of the more rustic Shetland yarns and things, are not a nice feeling against your skin because they're made in countries where you wouldn't just wear one layer, you would wear multiple layers underneath.
Totally.
And here in Perth, if you put on a jumper like that, you wouldn't need another layer underneath, but it wouldn't be very nice.
Honestly, I did knit a Lopi jumper. I tested for Susanna, the Anaras, last year. And when I went to Italy for my Christmas holidays, I left it there. Because I thought, I don't feel like I'll give it much wear here in Perth. Now I may have second thoughts, because maybe again with a layer underneath in the morning when I walk the dog, it could do, but again, I'm still trying to find my feet in this whole, knitting woolens in a very warm city situation.
Is someone else loving it in Italy though?
No, it's just waiting for me.
It's just
waiting for me.
It will be there.
Yeah.
All right, we have some beautiful yarns in front of us. Could you showcase a few of them?
Yeah.
Because I think the things that I haven't seen in person.
Yeah, sure.
And they're just really exciting.
Yeah. Well, I'll start with one that the shop has stocked for a long time, and we're lucky enough to be the only retailer in Australia for this particular yarn. It's from the Shetland Islands, and it's the Jamison's Spindrift yarn. And not only is it just a gorgeous yarn, but it comes from, you know, a factory and a business that has been around for many decades, and there's just this most amazing range of colours. There's over 200 colours, and we try to have as many as we can. We have been lucky enough recently to have Mary Jane Mucklestone from the US come and do some workshops here, and so we're all a bit inspired by all of that Fair Isle knitting, and she did a Scandinavian motif knitting class and stuff. So at the moment we're waiting on another order because it's like the locusts have been through. Because everybody wants to knit with this, but it's a lovely fingering weight. It's a 2-ply but a fingering weight, and it just works so beautifully. And yeah, it's another one of those examples where one of the workshops, everyone had the same 6 or 7 colours, but they all knitted them in a different order, and it was just incredible that, yeah, with the same colours, you could make a completely different looking fabric.
100%. I did the Fair Isle Friday workshop, so the all-day Fair Isle one in Victoria.
Did you?
I did. I was
At
really
Tarndie?
lucky at Tarndie.
Oh, wow.
And I had met MJ at Vogue Knitting Live in January, and yeah, it was just a fabulous workshop. So it just really adds to the shop, I think, when you activate the space in that way, as we've talked about with community, because it was just interacting with everybody and looking at their colors and them looking at your colors, and it was just a really beautiful experience.
Yep. Yeah.
And the depth of these colors. Now, unfortunately, we are not able to show all the very details, but they're so deep, so heathered. There's, one recall the others in some strands of colors in there. It's fantastic.
That green in particular.
Yeah.
So as I understand it, they dye the fleece before it's spun. So that's how they get or achieve that look.
And they spin some of them seem
The
to have about
fibers
4
together.
colours in them.
Yeah, absolutely. This one has got like yellow, purple, orange, blue. There's everything in it. It's fabulous.
Yeah. I love this one because I love navy, but it's really quite difficult. I've talked to dyers, and I know from choosing yarns that it is quite hard to get a really deep navy colour. The dyeing process isn't easy, but this one's called Cosmos, and it really is like a night sky. It's black and indigo and a little bit of a lighter blue fleck throughout it, but it just has the most beautiful navy colour when you knit it. It's
dark, but it's full of light somehow, isn't it?
Yeah. So that, I mean, every one of them I could pick up and tell you what I love about them, but they're just lovely, and it's a good weight of yarn too for colour work in Perth in Australia because it's 4-ply. So when you have 2 layers, when you're doing your colour work, it doesn't become a heavy, overly warm garment.
Makes sense. Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's one that we've had for a long time, but of course it never gets old. Another really exciting one that we recently started to stock is from Punk Rock Unicorn in Germany. We have 2 of their fibres. One is a boucle and the other is their sole sock yarn. And they just, Andrea, it just comes up with the most amazing combinations of colour. This one is called Jelly, and that's just,
I can't even with that color.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, my pink lava heart is like.
And this one, when you wind it onto the into a cake, actually forms almost a tartan pattern. It's just crazy, yeah. This one I love. This one's called New Beginnings, and maybe that's one of the reasons I love it. But I just love the pinks and apricots, and it's got some little deeper spots.
The neon, a bit of neon
Bit
as
of
well.
neon. She's done some beautiful peach and apricot colours, and then there's these natural colours. This one is called Circus Wagon, and this one, yeah. And then there's Vancouver, and we have another one coming back in stock soon called Mumbai, and it's a little deeper than this one, but it's still got like a little pop of hot pink here and there that just lift it.
How great would it be to do like a faded shawl or something in with these colours?
Yeah,
Look
that
at
one's
that.
I just think
That's
all three
one-
would be really good
Yeah.
shawls.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah, they're absolutely gorgeous, and they're so soft to knit with. So I've recently used one of these skeins to do a funfair shawl, which is a new pattern by Doris Lindner, and her designer name on Ravelry is Knit Pro Quo. And yeah,
Very
it's
fun.
really cool. Yeah, and it's a one skein project.
Oh, perfect.
But there was enough variation and interest in the single skein that there was no changing colour. It was just, a little bit of lace work, so enough to keep it interesting, but not difficult. And just a nice, simple round the neck shawl. And it didn't even use the whole skein, so I've got about a quarter of a skein left over, so I can add that to
incredible.
something
I was just
else.
gonna say just enough for some toes or heels.
Yeah,
on the
exactly.
side.
Yeah. So that's a really great project, and it was written with this yarn in mind. But you can use, of course, any 4-ply yarn. But it was spectacular in that.
Love that.
Yeah, and then the third one I've got that I'm really excited about is the Sanna yarn from Norway. This yarn I have been looking at for many years because I have followed Petite Knit like most people do, and
Of course.
and given her proximity, I guess, to Norway, being in Denmark, and the availability of Sanna yarn over there and its beautiful quality, she has recommended that for a lot of her knits. So when I took over the shop, that was one of my goals, was to get in touch with them, and hopefully, I could get some here. And we've managed to do it. And I've actually placed our second order. So we've got another big order coming with a couple of new yarn types, but a whole lot of new colours in the same ones that we've had with the first order.
Look at this. Is it purple? Is it gray?
You can't
Like
tell,
brown?
can you?
Is it brown?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's very, very interesting.
Oh, they don't have names.
Yeah, that one is duo, because it is wool and
blend?
cotton. Yeah, so it gives you all the benefits of wool without the downfall of being too hot or
exactly.
too itchy or.
Can I
That's
just say
great
this is-
for here,
I
I
was
think.
just going to say this is the
Yeah.
perfect yarn
Yeah.
for Perth.
Yeah. I have an Anchor's t-shirt that I've knitted with KPC. You stock the
Yes.
cotton. I did it was a cotton and wool blend, and I wear it a lot. So I think that's the perfect fiber
Yeah.
for here. Yeah.
Yeah, because you still get that
Definitely.
memory from the wool, so it's not like cotton where it doesn't, doesn't come back to its original shape always
Yeah,
and easily.
yeah.
Yeah, so it's a lovely combination and beautiful colours, and it does have that little bit of marling. Yeah.
Would you say it's been well received then? This
Yes, I
sort-
think this one, because we are in Perth, will be like right now. People
Yeah.
are going for the really 100% wools
Yeah,
and
yeah.
knitting really warm things. This one has been popular for people making children's things because children often
not
have a
so
sensitivity
prickly,
and they
yes.
don't like the wool feeling.
itchy.
Yeah. And you go to
Yeah.
all that trouble and make a beautiful thing, and then they won't put it over their head
Yeah.
because they don't like the feeling of it. So yes,
Yep.
a lot of people have used it for children's, but I think it will be used for across the board adult garments and blankets and things as we come out of winter into the mid-season. And there's some beautiful pattern books using duo as well. Yeah. Yeah, so I really like that one. We have their oldest yarn, Peer Gynt, which is used a lot in Met from Petite Knits patterns. Currently we've only got their DK weight, but on the way is their thin peer gynt. It is a very traditional yarn. It's been made since 1938. You don't make something for that long if it's not good.
Exactly. Are you joking?
Tried and true.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is a Norwegian wool, and yeah, it comes in a huge range of colours, and some of them they've actually partnered with Petite Knit, so she has her own small range within the big range of colours. But yeah, I have knitted with that, and although when you feel it just on the ball, you can feel it that it's that rustic kind of feel, but it's still nice in your hands as you're knitting it. And like the cardigan that's up, the little brown one, I just gave it a soak, little bath before I blocked it, and it softened up just with that. So it will continue to soften.
Yeah, the more you wash and you wear it, it does.
And it's not super itchy, but it's just,
No, it's not super itchy, but you know what? You could steek with this as well.
Yeah.
For all those patterns that call for steeking. Andrea Mowry has a few cardigans that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's sticky enough, if that's the word, for those heavier colour work things and for steeking.
But not overly textural, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
This one is so soft.
It's
Goodness
beautiful,
me.
isn't it? Yes, this is the alpaca and silk, which is 200 meters in 50 grams, so it's your fingering weight again, and it is literally just
So soft.
I can just tell by looking at it.
Yeah.
Because it's got a little bit of halo, and it's so light.
It's fantastic. That's perfect for shawls, I'd say.
Yes.
Or anything that you want close to your neck and comfy. And,
Yes.
It will just have a beautiful drape to it as well.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes, I have a little sample on my needles at the moment in the green. It's just out of reach over there, but it is, as I'm knitting it, like the drape is coming together, and just, because I can't wait, I'm not very patient. I have run some steam over the bit that I've started, and just steaming it relaxes even more. And it's like, it's just,
That's fabulous.
It's like the yarn exhales. It just...
Yeah. And so do we. So we relax as well with that.
Yeah, so it's gorgeous.
It would be a beautiful base yarn for this little shawl.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, it would be.
There you go.
Yeah.
It would be. Definitely. Fantastic.
Gorgeous. See, dangerous. We're coming up with too many.
Yeah.
And then we have this gorgeous, this is my favourite in the range. This is the recycled tweed. It's 80% wool and 20% cashmere. It's a light DK weight yarn with a bit of a tweedy aspect to it. It only comes in 8 colours, and when we get our next order, we'll have those 8 colours, but at the moment, it's been so popular that I can only show you these 2. And this navy, which is knitted up in the Eva cardigan, which is just one of my favourite ever patterns. I've done it in the adult and the children's size, and I love the pattern. It's an interesting and clever construction. It seems to suit everybody. We've had it in the shop, and everyone who tries it on buys the pattern and wants to make it, and in various different yarns. But it is light but warm and soft, and it's recycled. So,
all right, so I'm like having palpitations because this would be the perfect yarn for Crazy About Cables.
Oh yes.
By Vera Marcoux.
Yes, totally, totally.
Because that is like a dream knit, right? You want to have that, if you put the effort into making, it's a beautiful horizontally knit.
Yeah, so the cables run this way, sideways, not vertically. And it's got like a boxy shape, so the body really displays these cables in such a stunning way.
But a tighter sleeve from the elbow to the wrist, where you would want something that's soft.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's gorgeous. And then the last one in the range would be Sunday and double Sunday. So same yarn. One is the fingering weight and one is the DK weight. And they are just a joy to knit with. They are both 100% wool, but it has a feel that's similar to cotton. So again, it's very, very appropriate for children's wear, babies' clothing, baby blankets, things like that. But it just has a beautiful stitch definition too. So if you are doing anything with a stitch pattern or a lace work, you get a really, really lovely result. And this is one that I'm currently using to do a little Holga sweater, a baby size one. And yeah, it's just, yeah, the definition in the stripes is beautiful. And yeah, it's lovely, lovely, lovely yarn to knit with. So yeah, great range of colours too in those. But I could talk forever. We've got, it was really
This is
hard
just
to choose.
Probably
Yeah.
5%, less than that, 2% of the range of yarns and colours you find here. So, sure.
Yes, yeah. I haven't got Knitting for Olive out here, but she's also one of our favourites. And yeah, we have a big range of that as well. But yeah, again, it's just,
Petite Knit, Knitting for Olive, they're all fabulous designers.
Absolutely.
Do you have any other favorites? Favorite designers?
I do love Anchor Strix.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I also do love Andrea Mowry's
Yeah.
work. I haven't knitted something from her for a while, so I need to go back there.
I love the consistency of their patterns.
Yes. Yeah, they're beautifully written. But
Yeah.
but yeah, I've got, as you probably do too, a library full of things that I want to try. And
absolutely. Lately, my obsession is a little bit Teti's Lutzak
Oh, yes.
and her Helica pullover, the latest one. So these really woolly wools would be fantastic for one of those.
Yeah.
I'm loving the Paulina. Her
Yeah, Paulina is in my list as well.
Very much that, like, kind of Marimekko.
Yeah,
Oh,
totally,
wow.
style.
totally.
I love that.
Yeah.
And once again, if you look online, people have made fantastic renditions of these patterns. So there's and then endless possibilities, aren't there?
Yeah.
Fabulous.
So yeah, and Katrine Hannibal, I love her stuff too.
Yes.
I could
I
just
know.
we keep going. Yeah.
We could talk about this all morning, right?
yeah.
Couldn't we?
Of course, all these yarns can be purchased internationally
Yeah.
through your website. So of course we are lucky enough to be here and to see everything, in person, but there's the whole range online, so people can take advantage of that.
Yeah. If you're not from Australia or New Zealand, just send us an email and the contact details are on the website, because we would have to figure out shipping. But of course we can ship to anywhere in the world.
Fantastic. Well, I think I will ask you our final, my final question, which is what I ask everybody, and do you have a favorite beverage when you craft?
It's just a cup of tea. It really is just a cup of tea. I feel like that's part of the ritual, is the cup of tea.
Yeah,
and it doesn't,
comforting, isn't it?
and it changes through the year and the seasons what type of tea I might have, but yeah, that cup of tea. And sometimes I get so engrossed that cup of tea goes cold.
Yeah, I do
But
that
I still
all the
have it
time. All the time, yes. And I don't quite like it much when it's cold, so it's normally I drink half of it. But
yeah.
but it's just the ritual, isn't it?
Yes, that's right.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Kelly, thank you.
Oh no, thank
so
you.
much.
It's been lovely having you here and sharing, and
I'm so excited.
Thanks.
And as always, we have so much in common. It's like
New friends, new friends.
my people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you, everyone, for
Thanks.
watching.
And if you enjoyed this episode, please give it a thumbs up. And if you would like more content like this, click the subscribe button so you'll be notified of when new episodes come up. And until next time, happy knitting!
Bye!